Welcome back to another edition of Components Breakdown. Today we're going to look at the 2010 released second expansion to the game Thunderstone called Doomgate Legion. Now, similar to the first expansion that was entitled Wrath of the Elements, Doomgate Legion also expands upon the original 2 to 5 player deck building game by adding just over 300 new cards to the game, including heroes, monsters, and village cards. What it also introduces, though, are 2 brand new types of cards and 1 new variant of another type. So we're going to focus just on what Doomgate Legion brings new to the table and how it affects the overall Thunderstone experience. Let's go ahead and take a look inside the box. The first thing you're going to notice is that the game ships in a much smaller box than the original base set, but the same size box as its first expansion, Wrath of the Elements. Now, similar to the first expansion, Doomgate Legion also includes distinctly marked divider cards that are not only excellent for organizing your cards into specific types, but they also clearly differentiate the 3 different sets that have been released thus far by the artwork that is included on these dividers. Now, I've sleeved all my cards with Mayday card game sleeves, which can be a pricey endeavor, but the reason why I like the Mayday sleeves so much is because of their height, as they come right to the top of the card with almost no overhang, allowing them to fit back into the box with no issues. Now, regarding the box, as you can see here, all the cards from all 3 sets have fit back inside, even after being sleeved. But there is simply no additional room for future expansions, so it'll be interesting to see what AEG does, if anything, with its future expansion storage options. So, with that, let's go ahead and take a closer look at what Doomgate Legion offers. With any expansion that comes to the market for any board game, players will always want to know not only what new components are released, but also if any new mechanics or overriding themes are likewise introduced that would ultimately enhance the overall gameplay of its base set. Now, with Doomgate Legion, we will need to discuss 2 very specific items of interest, both the new types of cards that are introduced, as well as any thematic changes that might be injected into those pre-existing types of cards, such as heroes and the monster decks. Let's start off with the new types of cards. The first type of card to be introduced are the treasures. Now, for those that are already familiar with the second expansion called Wrath of the Elements, treasures essentially work like traps, but instead of hindering players and the heroes that are in those decks, they aid them with a multitude of gameplay bonuses. Now, there are 2 types of treasures in the game. There are amulets and there are Ulbricht's treasures. Either of these sets can be shuffled into the dungeon deck at the start of the game, and each time that the dungeon is refilled, such as when you destroy a monster, if a treasure so happens to appear, that active player will place it in front of him to be used on any later turn. Now, what's interesting to note about this is that the treasures do not go back into the deck. They simply stay in front of you, face up on the table, and can be used on a later turn, of which only then is the card enacted with its special ability and then destroyed and removed from the game. Now, let's show you a couple examples of these types of cards. The 2 cards I wanted to highlight each come from the 2 different sets of treasures that are included in the game. On the left-hand side is Ulbricht's treasure, which is his helmet, which allows you to destroy the treasure to draw 3 additional cards. On the right-hand side is an amulet, being the Greed Amulet, which allows a village action of destroying the amulet to gain 4 gold. The second type of card introduced are Village Mercenaries. Mercenaries are essentially enhanced versions of the original militia cards, although they are not considered to be heroes like the militia are. They are expensive, but they have the added benefit of being able to provide multiple abilities in both the village and the dungeon, while also being able to provide attack bonuses in combat, which give them great flexibility in your deck. Personally, I love this idea, and I think that the abilities presented thus far with the available mercenaries fit perfectly into the game. Again, let's show you some more examples of what the mercenaries look like. There are 4 different mercenaries that are included in Doomgate Legion. We're going to show you one that has the least amount of text. Couple things to note, they do have cost to them, unlike Militia, which costs 0 to acquire. All of these are going to cost 3 or more, and they all have functioning abilities in both the village and the dungeon, which give them a lot of flexibility. The one we're looking at here is the Spirit Hunter, which allows you to draw 1 card in either one of those locations, and if you're in the dungeon, you get a magic attack of +1. The third type of card introduced isn't so much a new type of card as it is a complete redesign of a pre-existing one, and these are called the Special Diseases, or the Special Disease deck. Now there are 25 new cards in the game, of which 10 are the exact same as the original base set. However, the 15 new ones are far more deadly and sinister and have a much greater impact on your deck than ever before. If players decide to use this deck, of which I believe everyone really should, it is shuffled and placed face down instead of face up. And when an effect forces a player to acquire a disease, they simply draw the top card of the deck and put it into their discard pile. Now this makes diseases far more deadly and relevant than ever before, and are again, in my opinion, a huge boost to the overall feel of the game. And once again, let's go ahead and take a look at some special diseases included in the Doomgate Legion. There are 5 unique types of special disease cards included in Doomgate Legion. The 2 I wanted to focus on were Leprosy and Thunder's Curse. On the left is Leprosy, and it increases the cost of each card purchased in the village by 3 gold. Thunder's Curse, although it looks very similar to the disease card from the original game, it actually decreases your victory points at the end of the game by -2, something I wish they would include on all the disease cards in future expansions. Besides these new types of cards, Doomgate Legion of course adds a new Thunderstone, Guardian, Village cards, 5 new sets of unique and very interesting heroes, and 5 of the most difficult monsters to date, several of which outright destroy weapons and even heroes just to combat them. Doomgate Legion will ultimately be compared first and foremost to its pre-existing big brother, and the first expansion to the Thunderstone series called Wrath of the Elements. Although Wrath first introduced us to the concept of guardians, special monsters such as the Horde and traps, Doomgate Legion takes that same formula but makes all of those mechanics much more interesting to play. Treasures, although similar to traps in mechanics, do make dungeon crawling easier but decidedly more rewarding to its players. Mercenaries are a huge improvement over the deck clogging militia, and the Special Disease deck is yet another step closer to making a huge market improvement on what was otherwise just a throwaway gameplay nuisance. The heroes in Doomgate are more refined and have a greater range of abilities, and the monsters are easily the most difficult and devious yet to be released. I've said this before and I will say it again. Thunderstone to me is still one of the best deck building games out there, but I still feel that it's just one perfect expansion away from making it truly great. The addition of mercenaries, an actual relevant special disease deck, and the ability to use experience outside of just leveling are all steps in the right direction and all take place in Doomgate Legion. If you are a fan of the series, then buying Doomgate Legion is an easy purchase and an absolute no-brainer. If you own just the base game, then this is most definitely the expansion to buy first. That is Doomgate Legion. I am Jeremy Salinas, and thank you very much for watching.